cook some raspberry and white chocolate chip muffins. Mother's Day is fast approaching, or you potentially might even be watching this the night before Mother's Day or on Mother's Day morning. So it's a perfect muffin recipe. It's got a bit of a touch of red in it and pink. We all love that color around Mother's Day. And it's a great thing that you can cook in the morning of Mother's Day to treat your mum or your sister or your auntie, your grandma, or basically any other lady in your life who you appreciate their support and you want to give them something nice and delicious to have on Mother's Day. You can drop around to their house, whatever you want. So I'll just run you through on here, a bit of a visual. So we're going to have some white chocolate chips, some raspberries, some vegetable oil, or any kind of grapeseed oil, some eggs, some caster sugar, and some plain flour or wholemeal flour, and some baking powder. And then also some yogurt and some sour cream, but I'll explain it a bit better now. So it's quite easy. We're just gonna need 2 bowls, one for our wet ingredients, one for our dry ingredients. So we'll make our dry ingredients first. In the dry ingredients bowl, we are just going to put 2 cups of flour, plain flour, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, and 3/4 cup of caster sugar. So I'm going to be mixing mine up, and I'm going to put in 1 cup of normal plain flour. And then I'm going to put in 1 cup of, that's 1. And then I'm going to put in 1 cup of wholemeal plain flour. You might have this at home, all good if you don't. Just go with 2 cups of plain flour. Just to get like, I don't know, a bit of a wholesome flavor going on with the wholemeal. So put 1 cup of this in. Overall, it's just 2 cups of plain flour, whatever flour you've got. And then because we're using plain flour, we need to put in 2 teaspoons of baking powder just to help it rise. If you don't have plain flour at home, but you're using self-raising flour, just omit the baking powder. But I haven't tried it with self-raising flour, but it probably will work, hopefully. So 2 teaspoons of this, 1, 2, and then 3/4 cup of caster sugar. I've got a little quarter measure here. This is also something you could potentially reduce if you want to sort of cut down on the sugar. You could maybe do 2/4, aka a half of caster sugar, and then that's 1, and then maybe 1/4 of coconut, if you want to sort of replace it with something, or you could just sort of put a bit less in. I don't think it will really stuff up the recipe too much. Sorry, that's 2 and 1 more. I should have mentioned earlier, I've just put on my oven to preheat at 180 fan forced. And here is my 3rd, and I'll chuck that in. Okay, great. So we've got our dry ingredients here. Just to once again reiterate, 2 cups of flour, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, and 3/4 cup of caster sugar. I'm just gonna use my whisk. You don't really need a whisk, but you know, any kind of utensil, spin that around. I'm just using whisk because I'm gonna have to use it later. So yeah. Great, dry ingredients done. Chuck them off to the side. Now we have our second bowl where we put our wet ingredients. We're gonna crack 2 eggs into here. 1, 2. We're going to put in 3/4 cup of, sorry, oh my God, 1/3 cup of vegetable oil. Sorry, 1/3 cup of vegetable oil. Now I just got enough. But if I didn't have enough, I could have also used grapeseed oil, or worst comes to worst, you can put in olive oil. Olive oil just has a bit more of a, sorry, I just need to put a bit more in. Olive oil has a bit more of a stronger flavor. Sometimes when people use olive oil in their cooking, you can taste it at the end. That might also be because you might be using strong olive oil. You can also get light extra virgin olive oil, and that hasn't got such a strong taste. But either way, generally a vegetable oil or a grapeseed oil is a lot lighter and doesn't have much of a flavor to it. You actually put a lot of oil, you'll find that like a lot of muffin recipes have oil as opposed to butter. They're meant to make them fluffier. They also it means that the muffin lasts a bit longer. This is what my research has told me, because yeah, there's no butter in this recipe, only the oil, sorry. Okay, and then we're putting in 1 cup of either sour cream or yogurt. I think it tastes better with sour cream, but I actually don't think I've got enough sour cream. And sour cream isn't often a staple ingredient people have at home. So potentially if you don't have sour cream, no fear, just use yogurt. It's also a nice healthy alternative. So yeah, I don't know, I was dreaming. I think I've got like 1/4 of sour cream here. So I'll put that in. And then I'll also put in some Greek yogurt. I've also known people to sometimes, like, you might have a vanilla yogurt at home, or you might have a berry yogurt, and that would go perfectly in this. Put more of this in. Great, here's my cup. I'm gonna put this in to continue with our wet ingredient. And one last thing, actually, if you do happen to have it, a little dash of vanilla is also great to put in here. Maybe a teaspoon. I didn't measure, just chucked it in. Okay, great. So just to confirm, in our wet bowl, we're gonna whisk this together. We have 2 eggs, 1/3 cup of vegetable oil, 1 whole cup of sour cream or Greek yogurt, and just a dash of vanilla. Not needed, but we'll add some extra flavor. I'm just gonna whisk this together until it's a nice, hopefully lump-free kind of mixture here. Okay, great. Mine's looking very lump-free and ready to go. So, there's a slight well in the middle of my flour, so that's all good. So I'm going to pour my wet mixture into my dry mixture. Using a spatula to get all of that off the edge. Great. Then I'm also going to put in my cup of berries. This is a cool trick. I learnt it from someone. Oh, Sophie Taylor actually in the team. If we put our berries, so we're gonna put a cup of berries, you can put a bit more, doesn't really matter. A bit more than a cup of berries, just in a side bowl. And then if you actually cover your berries with a bit of flour, it stops them from, 1, sinking to the bottom, and 2, it also stops them from spreading their color everywhere. Now, if you want that and you want the ripple red effect, go for it. But if you don't want your berries all sinking to the bottom and you don't want their color spreading and staining everywhere, you can just do this little trick and put some flour around your berries just before we chuck them in. So that's the trick of the day. And then I've cut up probably around 120 grams of white chocolate. And I'm gonna leave a bit on the side, and I'm gonna put them on at the end when the muffins are all nice and warm out of the oven. They're gonna go on top. But for now, I'm just gonna put in almost all of the chocolate. I've saved a bit just for the top. Maybe I recommend more saving like the smaller shards for the top and then put the big lumps into the actual muffins. Great. So I've just saved a tiny bit for the top. And here we go. This is where it's really important. We don't want to over mix it. So I'm just going to slowly mix all of this together until it's just mixed and there's no more flour by itself. And then we're ready to put them in their muffin pans. The good thing about this recipe is that if you don't have white chocolate, use milk chocolate, use dark chocolate. If you don't like raspberries, use blueberries, use mixed berries. It's basically it's a muffin recipe which you can then put whatever chocolate and berry you would like in there. Okay, sadly, mine is actually still running quite a bit, my berries, but looks kind of cool. Has a nice red tinge to it. I think it's probably because I'm actually stabbing these blueberries. The trick might work a bit better for blueberries because you don't normally stab them. And my trick with the berries hasn't really worked, but it could work for your blueberries or something like that. Okay, great. So, here's a bit of a view. This is what my mix is looking like. And I've prepared some patty pans earlier, but I've also I've cut up some baking paper, and I'm gonna put my muffins into some of them, just so They might look a bit more cafe-like, so you can just cut up some baking paper and then put that into your muffin tray. And yeah, they might look a bit more rustic, like you've gotten from the cafe down the road, except you've just gotten them from your own kitchen. So yeah, I'm gonna put my mixture into my patty pans. I'll fill them up probably to the top of the line of the patty pan tray, so the top of this tray, and then they should rise a bit higher. That's the hope. And yeah, they can go into the oven for around, it depends on your oven setting, so just be careful, but around 12 to 20 minutes. Okay, so I'm gonna put mine on for 12 just to be safe to begin with, but definitely poke them with a knife or a little skewer just to test out. We don't want any raw muffins. Not that, I'm pretty sure the mixture probably will taste great. Yeah, so anywhere between 12 and 20 minutes, just check. And they should be nice and golden on top. And yeah, I might even have a video at the end. We'll see. Okay, thanks for cooking with me. Hopefully all of your mums or your special ladies in your life love this. And our muffins are fresh out of the oven. I'm just gonna sprinkle some of this chocolate over the top. It will melt and they will taste great. Hope yours are looking just as delicious, if not even better. Enjoy your Mother's Day. Bye.